Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another of these Bandai Plannosaurus model kits. This time, we've got ourselves the Stegosaurus, and this is going to be a pretty fun one. I think this might be only the second herbivore that I've taken a look at when it comes to this line. I've had this guy sitting here for a little while, so it's about time I pop him open. You can see we've got some really cool images here on the front, basically a nice shot of the Stegosaurus, and then of course the figure that is clearly meant to be the same Stegosaurus. And you can also see we've got another Stegosaurus in the background, and another one. Very nice imagery there on the front. We also have the Plannosaurus logo. There's a nice glossy finish to the box, giving it a pretty cool look. It also has the same style as like that old plastic model kit that you would get. So I do like that as well. Definitely kind of takes me back when it comes to the style of the box. You can see the side again, sports all sorts of images and everything of the figure, of the skeleton. You've got information over here on the side, more information on the underside, and then again some more images over here. Once we actually pop the box open, if I can get it open, you can see that we've got a whole bunch of stuff on the inside like you always have when it comes to the Plannosaurus models, and definitely quite a bit that I need to build and get through with this model. So I'm going to go ahead, start assembling this, and then we'll check the skeleton out once we get that far. So we have assembled our Stegosaurus skeleton, and you can see the skeleton looks really nice actually. And I think a lot of the time with these Plannosaurus figures, the skeletons are usually like my favorite part. I actually end up liking those aspects and those areas of the figures more than the, you know, dinosaur with the skin on it. And you can see in typical fashion when it comes to these Plannosaurus models, you do have articulation. You can move that head and neck around quite a bit. You know, you've got some up and down and left and right movement in the neck area. You also, of course, have the legs, which can move in the shoulder, as well as the elbow, which is apparently a little stiff currently. There you go. You can move the elbow. It keeps trying to go out of focus because of the other stuff I have in the background. You can also move the legs out away from the body a little bit. And of course, you have the same articulation for the rear legs, again, forward and back, and the elbow, or the knee as well, just like with the others. And you definitely have a nice range of movement. Like, you could probably create some really cool dioramas and even stop motion when it comes to these figures, though you don't have quite the amount of articulation you might want for stop motion. But you can also move the tail as well. Again, up and down, no left or right with the tail, just up and down, but does give you some nice posability again for the figure. And the detailing on the skeleton itself is pretty decent. You know, if you get nice and close, you can see, especially up in the plates do actually have some nice fine detail to them, which is a very nice touch on something like this. But of course, we need to continue building our Stegosaurus, so let's go ahead and get the skin on it now. So there is our Stegosaurus now put together, and this one was actually quite interesting because when you put the skeleton together, you have to put all the plates moving along the back. But I think this might have been the first time, or definitely one of the first times, that I recall where when you actually put the skin on the dinosaur, you have to then go back and like take the entire figure pretty much apart to reassemble it with the plates and skin and everything on it, because obviously these plates don't slip over the bone versions of the plates, so you had to go ahead and basically reassemble the figure, for a strong part of it. And yes, you might look at this and it might look a little naked to you. Yeah, we do have the stickers. Here's those stupid stickers. I did not put them on. As you can see, one here is out of place, and that's because I started to put them on, and then when I realized how much I absolutely hated it, I took that right back off. I basically started to put one on one of the Thagomisers, and it looked horrible, absolutely dreadful, so I went and took them back off. And now our Stegosaurus is here naked. Again, I'm half tempted to give it a paint job because, you know, it looks a little awkward being so naked, but I honestly think it looks better this way than even trying to put those stickers on, because the stickers pretty much just ruin the figure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look, and we'll check this out from there. So I actually went ahead and placed one of the eyes on the Stegosaurus just to show you how terrible it looks. You know, it at the same time isn't like the ugliest thing ever, but when you look at the eye, you can very clearly see like the clear part of the sticker around it, and it almost gives the appearance of the Stegosaurus like wearing glasses or something. It just looks super awkward, so I really don't mess with the stickers. I think the stickers are overall just an awful idea. I get why they do it, so it gives the person that purchases it something to do, you know, something to kind of like build and customize your dinosaur a little bit, but they just don't look good. They honestly take away from the figure a lot, because if you look at the Stegosaurus past the point of the goofy eye right now, the detailing looks really nice. The sculpt of the face looks great. You could see the nostrils, you could see a beak and everything right there for the Stegosaurus. And as you move back into the neck, we can see some very nice looking scale detail, even some nice fine detail up there in the plates on the back of the neck. It all looks really good. You can see we have a dark blue for the upper body, a light blue for the underside, and you can even see some nice scale detail there for the underside of the Stegosaurus. You do still have some neck articulation, but as you can see, there's not a whole lot now, because once you put the skin on it, it really limits the mobility aspect of the dinosaur. As you continue to move down into the body, you can see the skin texture continues to look really nice. You have some scales and stuff, like you have also some osteoderms poking up here and there, which you can see moving through the course of the dinosaur. Obviously, the plates are going to get bigger, and the plates definitely look really good if you ask me, especially when it comes to all the small cracks and crevices and fine detail within those plates. As you move down into the legs look pretty decent as well. You can see again the skin texture looks quite nice. You lead down into the foot as well looks pretty good. You've got the nails sculpted out, the toes sculpted out, lots of skin detail down there. Very impressive. Again, for something like this, I feel like the fine detail does look really good. You do still have some articulation here, as you can see. You can still move the front leg forward and back, and that actually moves pretty nicely. You can also move it out away from the body a little bit, and you still have the articulation in the elbow, but it's again very limited in comparison to what we had going on when it was in just the skeleton phase. But as you continue to move along, you can see that we don't have any coloration for the plates, because we were supposed to use the stickers up there to kind of give them like that yellowish brown or orangish brown sort of a coloration. As we move down here, you can kind of make out the hip. You can still see again the skin texture looks quite nice as a whole. Nice muscle definition in the thigh. Again, you can see that we have like these very obvious seams where the dinosaur is put together, and you'll see that through the entire figure. That's just how these things work when it comes to the Plannosaurus line. They all kind of have that going on. In some cases worse than others, like if you look back at the Spinosaurus review I did where they don't even fit together correctly, that one was pretty ugly when it comes to the seams. This one, it fits together a little smoother than, you know, some of the others. We also have leg articulation again in the hip, and like I said, it moves really nicely for that area. It definitely gives you some nice posability for that. But when you move down to the knee, again, it's extremely limited in that area when it comes to the articulation. But as you move down, you can again see the rear foot sculpt looks nice. The toes are sculpted beautifully. Nails again sculpted beautifully. This figure would look really good, I think, with a repaint, with like a fresh coat of paint on it. If you filled up, you know, some of the seams, like the seams where the underside connects to the upper side, you know, fill that seam the whole way through and then just give this a nice fresh coat of paint, I think it would be an excellent Stegosaurus. As you move up into the tail, you can see a few skin wrinkles and stuff right there. As you lead out, you can also see that you have that area of articulation where you can put the tail up pretty high, or you can kind of lean it down. Not really much else going on outside of that when it comes to that area of articulation. As you lead out again, you've got the plates. The plates look really good when it comes to their fine detail. And then you finish off our Stegosaurus with the Thagomizers, which even the Thagomizers do actually have some nice, you know, minute cracks and crevices when it comes to the fine detail of that area. And you can see the underside also looks pretty decent when it comes to the sculpt. So sculpt wise, I would say it's probably one of my favorites, I think, from the line overall. I really like the appearance of this Stegosaurus, and color wise, you know, it's okay, I guess, for what it is. It would look a lot better if they would just originally paint the model up rather than giving us those stickers, because it would definitely just, in general, I think, give the figure a much higher quality look. But overall, it is a pretty fun Stegosaurus figure. You do also have a base for the Stegosaurus that you can kind of put it on, but there's like holes for the pegs and stuff, but there aren't any actual pegs on the Stegosaurus. You don't normally see any kind of like pegs or anything on the quadrupedal dinosaurs, so no worries as far as that goes. As far as the size For the Stegosaurus, these Plannosaurus figures are usually pretty small, and you can see the same thing for the Stegosaurus. Lengthwise, about 6 3/4 inches, or a little over 17 centimeters, to the furthest point of the last Thagomizer. And then height-wise, I guess we should actually get rid of the little base there to get an accurate height. About 3 inches, or a hair over 7.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus, Robert Muldoon in the Collect A human being next to our Plannosaurus Stegosaurus, and you can see that it is roughly in the size range of like an Attack Pack or Wild Pack, Danger Pack type figure. Very similar in size to that, maybe slightly smaller than what you would expect for a species like that, you know, a figure like that. But when it comes to a Stegosaurus, it's definitely on the smaller side, that's for sure. For more evidence of that, we also have the Mojo Fun Stegosaurus, which you can see is, you know, a good bit larger than this version that we have from Bandai for the Plannosaurus line. And this Mojo Stegosaurus is probably one of the smaller Stegosaurus figures I have. So that really, again, shows you how small the Plannosaurus version is. Now, when it comes to the figure being small, we do have a Mattel and Captives minifigure here, so it shows you that the figure isn't quite in minifigure size range, but again, for a Stegosaurus, it's fairly small. For another Stegosaurus comparison, we also have the Bullyland version, which you can see is drastically larger than our Plannosaurus version. And then for one final comparison, we also have the new for 2024 Schleich Stegosaurus, again showing you that the Plannosaurus version is still smaller. So this Bandai Plannosaurus Stegosaurus is pretty fun. I would say it's actually one of my favorites from the line overall. I think this is the 5th figure that I've reviewed from this line now on the channel, and there's just something that I really like about this one. The overall appearance and sculpt is just very appealing to me, almost looking kind of like how I recall Stegosaurus appearing in some Robert Bacher illustrations. Like, I just feel like it kind of looks similar to that. I don't know why, it just gives me that feeling, and that's something that I really like. Again, like, I grew up loving the Dinosaur Heresies book from Robert Bacher, so to have anything that kind of resembles his illustrations is definitely a plus. But as a whole, I feel like the figure does look really good. The sculpt looks nice, the fine detail looks nice. It overall has a really highly detailed appearance for what it is. Of course, it's severely lacking in paint application because, again, we're meant to use the stickers, and the stickers are stupid, so I don't use those. But the coloration that, you know, it has, like a dark blue, I guess that could be a fairly realistic coloration. I would just much prefer that they start painting the figures themselves, or just, you know, completely get rid of the stickers and leave it to us to paint them, which we could, of course, just do on our own, and I think that's the route that I'll probably take someday in the future. But, again, it could look extremely impressive with a nice paint job on it. It does have fun articulation, which is always a great thing, one of the appealing aspects of these figures, and the articulation works pretty nicely. Again, a little limited once you put the skin and stuff on it, but overall the articulation is fairly decent, and when you have it in the skeleton phase, it's actually really nice. The articulation works great, and even the skeleton version looks extremely cool. I would almost say I prefer the skeleton version, but in this case, I actually think I like the skin version, the more realistic and live version of the Stegosaurus. Most of the time I prefer the skeleton version, but there's just something that I really like about this Stego. But again, if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Big Bad Toy Store, so make sure you check that link. Go grab this if you'd like to add it to your collection, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.